Hi there guys, welcome to BoxPred and thank you for tuning in. I want to take a look at the fight this weekend between Anthony Crolla and Jorge Linares for the WBA World Lightweight title. This is a fight I'm really looking forward to. I think it's just a well-blended matchup. It should lead to some excitement. Should be action-packed really, with the styles of both fighters. I think that it's also quite a tough match to call because there are similarities between these fighters. I believe they both like to be on the front foot. They can both crack to the body. We saw that in their last fights. They both exhibited vicious body punch stoppages. You could say that Linares is the more technically sound of both fighters. I think that's safe to say. He's probably a little more mobile, a bit more fluid than Crolla. But Crolla is the guy that's on the high. He's the guy who can follow a game plan. He can stick to a game plan throughout and he can find that way to win. Whereas Linares, you could say, maybe a bit shot worn. He may be a guy who, in this particular atmosphere, could wilt under the pressure. He may not be liking the smothering nature and the pressure that Crolla could impose on him in this fight. Let's take a look, brief look at Linares. Technically sound fighter, good counter puncher. Crolla's got to be careful in this fight because Linares has some good power, and as I've mentioned, those body shots, you could see him ripping one into Crolla here. He can throw decent combinations. Like I've said, fluid movement. I think that he's got the movement advantage in this fight. He's probably got... Has he got an outside advantage? Possibly. But he's going to be the guy who is maybe trying to use a bit more technique and movement. Whereas Crolla will be stuck and set to a game plan where he's going to, I think, want to move forward and put the pressure on Linares. He's really going to want the crowd to get behind him. He's going to want to impose the physical presence on Linares and really make it, back this guy into a corner. And he does it in a kind of a subtle way, actually, Crolla, because he's not like a Golovkin who is on top of you, pushing you back always. Crolla kind of does it over time, so he will stand, maintain centre ground. He'll still be working, throwing a jab and throwing some good straight punches, but he'll be looking to kind of wear the other guy down through their own weaknesses. So he will perhaps look for Linares to provide a lot of work in the fight, to wear himself down stamina-wise. And the great thing that Crolla does really is he defends very well. So his gloves are always up. He's always taking. He has this ability to take shots on the gloves. We saw it against Barroso in the last fight. He takes a lot of shots on the gloves, and they don't really affect him that much. And his opponent, meanwhile, is wearing themselves down, throwing a lot of shots. Now that could work against him in that his opponent could be seen to be doing a lot of the work and to be the aggressor, to be the volume puncher. But Crolla also has this ability to pick times when his opponent lulls to actually come with his own shots, and he was landing, as we saw against Barroso, who was a good opponent. We saw him land some really good shots on Barroso, but he was picking his times and picking his moments and picking his shots. He's just being patient, basically. And then later into the fight, as it goes on and his opponent starts to tire, then Crolla comes in as he starts pressing forward. And then, it's that subtle transition where he's able to start pressing forward and to start using his body shots, to start using the jab a bit more, to set up some straight shots, and then to try and start hurting his opponent and wearing him down with his strengths and his advantages, in a physical manner. That's an attribute and an aspect of Crolla's game which I think really will sit well with him in this fight. That ability to absorb pressure, and then later on when his opponent may feel disheartened or may feel that he's maybe starting to tire, then Crolla will push the pace. Mid-fight here, providing all is going to plan for him, I would expect to see Crolla start to push forward, start to up the pace of the fight, start to really, say to Linares, okay, you've had your go, you might have had the first half of the fight kind of your way, but now I'm going to start putting the pressure on you as you're tiring. And the crowd's behind me, it's home advantage, they're roaring me on. Crolla has good stamina as it is. And let's just briefly talk about Crolla. The similarity with the body shots there between these two guys. And I think Crolla's power, while he may not have a stronger KO ratio as Linares, I think it's understated because the improvements that Crolla's made over the last few years is really some of the best in the sport that I've seen. I remember watching Crolla, and I thought a few years back, I thought he was going to be domestic level at best. I thought he was turning into a guy who was, a stepping stone on the top of the domestic level for the UK, and I thought he would just probably get lost in the wilderness. But under Gallagher, he has really got his act together. He has, I know he's always been with Gallagher, but what I'm saying is, in recent years, he's really got concentrated, he's knuckled down, he's thought, right, how do I improve my game? How do I improve upon my weaknesses? And really, the strength of Crolla is in his relationship with Gallagher and his innate ability to just follow a game plan, to just follow instructions and to stick with them. His opponent, on the other hand, Linares, strikes you as the kind of guy who may lose it in the ring. He's not always been, he's always looked a bit vulnerable in the ring. His three losses have all come by stoppage. He's the type of guy who, when he's thrown into the lion's den, you don't really want to back him. You don't really want to say for sure how he's going to react. When the tough gets going in this fight, is he going to be able to react in a positive manner, or will he wilt under the pressure? When the crowd's against him, when Crolla's fight style starts to take over, is that going to really get to Linares? On the other hand, Crolla's going up against a very good boxer in this. He's going up against a dangerous, what I think in this fight is a dangerous puncher, particularly with those body shots. I think that Crolla can sometimes be subject to counterpunching, and I think that that's something that Linares will look to do. So Linares needs to be patient as well. If he goes in with this game plan of, right, I'm just going to box my way, and I'm going to have it all my way, he's making a mistake. He needs to actually look at this fight as an exercise in patience, because if he's not successful at first, he mustn't waste punches. He's going to have to be the guy who actually waits for Crolla. It might be good to invite Crolla on sometimes in this fight so that he can counterpunch himself and he can pick Crolla off. That might be his best game plan, because he can hurt Crolla and he could try and stop this if he gets some success. The thing is with Linares, and Crolla's already mentioned this, I think that Linares is the type of guy who likes things his own way. He likes to fight at his own pace. Okay? And Crolla has the tools to actually turn this around and say, right, I don't fight at my opponent's pace. I might let him early on, but then I push the pace. And when that pace change comes mid-fight, which is what I'm expecting to happen, that's where I think this fight will be won. Because I think, while we may see Linares have some early success in this fight, I think later in the fight, while it will be still competitive, I think that we will see that change in course, and I think that Crolla will, as I've mentioned, impose his will, change the speed of the fight to suit him, and I think that he will take it down the stretch. Now, there could be a stoppage either way in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if both guys go down, or at least one guy goes down in this fight. But I think that Anthony Crolla will win this fight. I think he'll edge out a decision in this fight. It might be close, because when it goes to decision, Crolla's fight style tends to lead to a difficult night. It's always close. He's had a few draws. With his fight style, he doesn't tend to win clearly, because he likes to mix it up. He gets hit himself, and it's kind of a mix-up type of style. He's not the outside fighter who's dodging punches and getting missed and capitalizing. He's got the style where, as I've said, he kind of lets his opponents into the fight and then pushes back and tries to take the fight back off them. And that kind of gives this ebb and flow to the fight, which the judges sometimes, quite often actually in Crolla fights, they get confused as to who's winning the rounds. And that's something that's dangerous for Crolla in this fight as well. We can mention the Mitchell fight. Mitchell's a completely different fighter to Anthony Crolla. Okay, Kevin Mitchell is more fluid. He was beating Linares, let's not forget, before he was stopped in that fight. He was close to winning it, Mitchell. And the thing is, he had the success he had against Linares. You can't really attribute it to. You can't really bring it into this fight with Crolla because it's a different fighting style. So he had some success because he was unpredictable. He was moving very well. He was difficult for Linares to perhaps pin down, and he was catching Linares with shots that from angles, and you know what Kevin Mitchell does, and Linares struggled with that. Linares was put down, I think it was in the 5th round by Mitchell, so it shows that you can get to him, okay, and that was against the partisan crowd in Mitchell's favour as well. So don't be surprised if Crolla gets to him in this fight in a similar way, okay, but Crolla's not got that fluidity. He's not got that unpredictable nature of his boxing. It's very straightforward. It's following the game plan. It's very structured. And, Crolla really has improved because he knows how to play to his strengths. That's what he's doing. He's playing to his strengths. He's just doing the basics well. And he's playing on his stamina. And he's playing against the weakness of his opponent. And I think against a guy like Linares, whose weaknesses have been played on before, I think that's key in this fight, and I think that's what will happen. Linares' weaknesses will be played on. He may have success early in the fight. He should have success to a certain degree throughout the fight because he's a very good boxer. But I just think that in the end, the close decision possibly will go to Crolla. And I'm picking Anthony Crolla to win this fight. I'm picking him to beat Jorge Linares by decision. I'm expecting an exciting fight. It is difficult to call this one because it's not an out-and-out, this guy is going to be a clear, run away with the fight type guy. I think it's a good duel of styles. I think it's a good fight. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you think Crolla does it, or do you think Linares will be another step a bit too far for Crolla? Let's not forget also, I think Crolla's the guy on the high here. Linares has been through the mill a bit. He's had recent success, but he's had setbacks in a different way that Crolla has. He's had setbacks when he's been at his peak, at his top level, I think, Linares. Whereas Crolla's came when he was kind of still building, and he wasn't at his peak. Now he's at his peak, now he's on a high. I'm picking Crolla to win this fight. I think he'll do it on the weekend, and I think it's going to be another, really brilliant performance by Crolla and by a British fighter. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. This is BoxPred. I'm out.